Now to talk some summer recruiting, kind of a summer recruiting 101, if you will. We bring on the man, the myth, the legend, national recruiting analyst for us here at On3, Josh Newberg. Josh, how we doing, brother?
It's a great day. Not every day do I get to come on the hard count with you, JD, so I'm just happy to be here.
Man, we're happy to have you here. I know the people would agree. There's a lot to unpack right now with the summer season of recruiting. Like, recruiting never stops. You and I both know that. But especially in the summertime, you got official visits galore. And there's a portion of college football fans that kind of just show up for week 0. And it's like, hey, my team's playing, so I'm here. But a lot of what happens with, putting these teams together happens during the summer. So I just kind of want to throw this one out there for you, Josh. What is the importance of summer recruiting, and what's one thing fans should know about it as we get into the summer season?
I really appreciate those week 0 recruiting fans, but they got to realize they're week 0 fans because they know, hey, I got 3 months to kind of get familiar with recruiting because November, December, and January are the big recruiting months. Well, not anymore. Official visits during the summer have changed that, and now June and July kind of look more like November and December if you're a week 0 recruiting fan. So you need to be tuned in to where these guys are going. Top recruits right now are packing out the month of June with official visits. Now, you can take unlimited visits, but the way that some of these coaches are booking big visit weekends, you would think that signing day is coming in July and not December and February. So it's an interesting strategy, and there are some big visit weekends taking place all across the country. Your favorite Power 5 team is probably having one this weekend or next weekend. And believe me, if you're a week 0 fan, you are going to want to tune in now starting in June rather than September.
And you mentioned that now kids can take unlimited official visits. When it comes to these kids taking visits, like I know you've told me this here, hey, track the visits. Men lie, women lie. Visits ain't going to lie to you. Do those visits still hold the same amount of weight in the summer as, maybe they used to when you had a limit on them?
I think so. We're going to see because this is all new, so we're working it out. But some of these top programs, they just know, hey, we need to get our guys on campus now, or do we need to get them in the fall? Right now, you're seeing a lot of coaches going with the fact that let's get them in early. Everybody's bringing them in early. Early commitments start happening in June, July, and even before the season begins. So I think NIL maybe kind of solidifies commitments a little bit more than it used to now that the fact that you can ink an NIL deal or you can come to an agreement on an NIL deal. Of course, that's not binding, but it could solidify some of these summer commitments that happen due to early official visits.
And Josh, you said it, a lot of these commitments happening in the summer. One commitment position group that's happening a lot right now is the quarterbacks. Like we talk about official visits in the summer, a lot of these top guys, Dylan Raiola being one of them, commit even before they take their official visit to these schools. What's the importance of that, and what should fans evaluate that as for their team?
Yeah, I know. A lot of fans are probably thinking like, well, if these are the big official visit months, then why are quarterbacks already committed? Well, there's a strategy behind it. Right now, college football, and it has been for a while, is driven by the quarterback position. So it's no surprise that recruiting classes are also driven by the quarterback position, and top teams get elite arms on their commitment list early so that they can be there during these summer months to help recruit. They can be a peer-to-peer recruiter. Yeah, it's great to have the coaching staff there talking to these kids and their parents about what the school has to offer, but there's nothing like another recruit coming up to you and telling your family why he committed and why he wants you to come join him at Georgia, at Tennessee, at Ohio State, at some of these big programs. You see peer-to-peer recruiting is actually one of the best tools when it comes to landing top prospects.
And you mentioned it, the quarterback position itself. Like the quarterback, it's one of the most integral pieces of any roster. And so to know that, hey, we have our guy at quarterback, top receiver, come and play with us here, or running back, you're going to be able to have a little bit of a lighter box because of what they're demanding in the pass game. Like I'm 100% in agreement with you there. It's just fascinating to watch all these dominoes fall. And you mentioned the quarterback dominoes. Is there a little bit of a piece there with the QB market and pressure on those guys to make a decision sooner rather than later on their side of things?
Yeah, because quarterbacks don't make or break a recruiting class, but they do provide the foundation of a recruiting class. So they understand if you're a top quarterback, hey, I'm only as good as the running back that's going to run the ball. I'm only as good as the wide receiver that's going to catch the passes. So quarterbacks kind of stake their flag early, they commit early, they make their presence felt, and then they can be there to kind of be the, wave the flag, so to say, of during the summer and really into the fall, because some of these wide receivers and running backs are going to be watching highlight tapes of top quarterbacks and seeing who they want to play with.
Josh, there's definitely some of us that will say, you know what, wake me up on signing day. Like, I will look at the recruiting rankings loosely, and I'll kind of track that, but I don't really care too much until December and February. So those fans that really just track the recruiting rankings up until signing day. Right now, we're in the summer months. Obviously, we're talking about this whole segment. How much stock would you put into the recruiting rankings right now with however many months away till December and February?
Kind of like the stock market. Funny that you say, how much stock do you put into it? Well, do you just wait for Q4 earnings to come out, or are you following the ups and downs, trials, tribulations of the stock market every day? And that's kind of how recruiting rankings go. Charles Power and the boys at On3 do an incredible job of getting on these guys early, rankings, doing all their evaluations throughout the year. So now we're in the summer months. We got the Elite 11, we got summer camps, we got 7-on-7s, and these are all kind of benchmark moments to kind of look at Charles Power's rankings and say, does it match up with what I see, or is this player playing above his ranking, below his ranking? Because we know that the fall is coming. Their senior season's coming up, and when we talk about what goes into rankings more than anything, it's senior film. So Charles Power, he's going to have his work cut out for him this season, but all of this goes into that final evaluation in the fall. So it's kind of fun, like a stock. Hey, did we get this guy low, and we're gonna watch him rise up the rankings throughout the year? I think it's just a fun benchmark for college football fans to follow, and a good way to follow your team.
Yeah, Charles Power, director of scouting and rankings here. Like, dude just inhales film. Like, he comes in the office now and then to, I think, collaborate on ideas and kind of get synced up with what we're going to do from a rankings perspective. But whenever he's in the office, he's got like 2 monitors going. He's got multiple games. Like, the guy is locked and loaded all of the time. Josh, I want to ask you this. Coach Prime, a guy who made a lot of noise at the bell last year, more or less, around signing day, landed some top commitments. What do you expect from him in the summer as it pertains to the recruiting trail?
Ooh. So Coach Prime, a lot of hype, a lot of substance there. He is getting guys on campus, but I'm kind of noticing a strategy taking place in Colorado. And it makes sense to me. Colorado is bringing in official visitors, but they're having 3 guys come in, 4 guys come in a weekend. And yes, they are landing some commitments. Brandon Davis-Swain out of the state of Michigan, a big-time D lineman in Big Ten country that Deion Sanders goes and gets. He goes to Florida and gets Carl Lewis to commit over 2 weekends ago. And what I think is happening, though, is Coach Prime's kind of putting a lot of these official visits in his back pocket and not using them as much as some programs are in the summer. I'm seeing official visit weekends with 16, 18, 20 guys on campus. The Florida Gators are going to have close to 40 official visitors during the month of June. However, if you know Coach Prime and his style, he does his best work at the end of the cycle. He flipped Dylan Edwards from Notre Dame at the end of the cycle. He lands Cormani McClain. He gets Travis Hunter right before the bell rings, steals him away from Florida State 2 years ago. So what I think Coach Prime is going to do is he's going to gear up for a late run. And it's fine. Hey, you go and take your official visits in June. You commit to wherever you want to commit. Bless your heart. Coach Prime is still going to be there in December getting you to come on campus. You know it's going to be impactful. You know it's going to be emotional. And you could be committed to a program for 11 or 12 months, but if you flip on signing day and you sign with Colorado, it's a done deal. You're heading to Boulder, Colorado. So I'm watching Coach Prime work this summer. I think he's doing a good job of getting guys on campus, but I think what he's really doing is gearing up for some big-time flips, some big-time additions right before signing day.
Bless your heart. I need that on a sweatshirt with like a Colorado logo. Bless your heart. Maybe a picture of Coach Prime while we're at it. Josh, Coach Prime and what they're doing at Colorado, that makes a lot of sense because if the last person I talked to is Deion Sanders and my recruitment, like it would be very difficult for me not to have like that recency bias to lean towards a school like Colorado. But Josh, if they get them on campus later in the year, like kind of those November, maybe December months, it's going to be cold. Like, and if I'm a kid from Florida or I'm a kid from the Southeast or maybe even California, like, I would have to imagine that plays some sort of factor, no matter how small. Is there a strategy for these cold weather schools? We saw Notre Dame last year use a lot of their official visits early and ended up losing guys like Keon Keeley, like Peyton Bowen. Is there a thought process there for some of these schools that maybe get a little bit colder later in the year?
There definitely is, and I've seen this through the years, even well before when official visits weren't allowed in the summer. You would see Big Ten schools like a Michigan, like an Ohio State, Purdue, some of these teams up north. They don't mind bringing recruits in September for an official visit. They want to get you on campus before it gets brutally cold. But, hey, at the end of the day, Deion Sanders is trying to land an elite talent. And if an elite talent has an issue with the cold weather, what are you going to do when the New England Patriots come and draft you in the first round? Say, thanks, coach, but I don't really want to play in cold weather. You know, if the Detroit Lions have the #1 pick, you're going to pass on going to Detroit? No, you're going to go there. It's a job. Hey, with NIL and the way that this college football is going, you got to start treating it as a business early. And I think if Colorado can still provide an opportunity for you to get better as a player, to get better off the field as a student, and still make the NFL, I don't think that a little bit of cold weather in Boulder, Colorado is going to stop an elite recruit from coming.
Especially if Deion Sanders is the head coach talking to
Absolutely.
you. Maybe it's cold, but having that face-to-face with him, I would imagine, is a huge factor in any young man's decision to end up committing to Colorado. Well, that's Josh Newberg. Make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel so you don't miss his show, The Inside Scoop, which is more in-depth analysis on recruiting, certain prospects, where they're headed to school. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you're locked in here. Follow Josh on Twitter. You will not be sorry. Josh, appreciate you, man. We'll do it again real soon.
Anytime, JD. Love coming here. Love the hard count.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.